Hey everyone, Jay here.
Sean here.
And today we're talking about my favorite 90s movies. So, to be clear, there are movies from the 90s that won Oscars almost every year. These are not them. I was a kid in the 90s and I had some pretty kid tastes in the 90s. So these are not the best movies from the 90s. These are the ones that were meaningful to me. That my friends and I would have sleepovers and watch them over and over, and we knew every line, and we, thought they were living poetry.
And yes, probably still
it's embarrassing. It is super embarrassing. Okay. So I pulled from our DVD collection, our poor DVD collection that's been relegated to the garage for years and years now, because who needs physical media anymore?
It is so rare that we actually pull them out.
Yes. So I will say that there are probably 3 movies that I couldn't find that should be on this list. So I Married an Axe Murderer is one of them. That is Mike Myers. I can't even believe I'm saying this, and Nancy Travis back in the day. And yeah, basically, he marries this woman who's beautiful and wonderful, and then he starts, on their honeymoon, very inconvenient timing, starts to suspect that she might have a thing for murdering husbands on their honeymoons. Anyways, it's really funny. Actually, no, I take that back. I have not seen it for years and years, possibly because I lost it or it's behind the shelf or something. So I don't really know if I still endorse this movie today, but I would love to look back at it, and maybe you would too if you liked it when you were young. That was a big one.
That was a big one. I remember that one and liking it as well.
Yes. Another one was Dangerous Minds.
Oh yeah,
which is super embarrassing, but yes. I mean, almost, as much as Clueless, which was a big one too, but Dangerous Minds, the music, and it was really...
Yeah, that was a huge soundtrack.
Yes, it was.
That trailer was like every time it came on.
Oh boy.
Oh, you knew.
Yes.
This was one to see.
For sure. And I'm going to put Poetic Justice in there.
Oh, that was a good one.
That's Janet Jackson. FYI, the hat that she is wearing on the cover of that movie, I had. But I never, you have to stuff it to get it up here, and I never had the temerity to go full throttle on it. But I had I started with a Blossom hat. That was the first hat in my hat collection. I looked even cuter in it than Blossom did, I don't mind telling you. But yeah, Janet Jackson definitely looked better in that hat. But I loved it to pieces. And I loved that movie, and I loved her. And that's very 90s to me.
That is very 90s.
Yes. Also very 90s. Woo, that's Armageddon, guys. Yeah. Armageddon. Oh my gosh. Imagine being a little teenage girl who gets to watch this movie. I don't know how many times, even at the drive-in, I saw this movie.
Because that was a summer movie.
It sure was.
The summer after Titanic, I think.
Mm-hmm. It was big time. And that song, the Aerosmith song from it, was all over the radio.
Massive.
I danced so much to that song because for some reason, all of my older cousins were getting married, and so we went to a lot of the stags and...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we were all over the place with this song. I loved the animal cracker scene.
I don't remember
You don't remember it because you were not a teenage girl. You were already an old man.
Oh yeah, they're in bed, right? Yeah.
They're not in bed.
Oh,
they're out on a picnic blanket.
Okay.
Because they're going, he has a spaceship and she has an oil rig. They do not have a bed between them.
Have a bed.
Okay. It's teenage love, it's true. That's what you do. You either have to do it in your mom's van or on a blanket in the road. That's your options. And yes, every time Ben Affleck cried, I cried. Oh boy, this was a real serious one for me.
That is a serious one. He also, I think, cries several times in that movie.
Well, yeah, but it's really at the end. Yeah. And lots of great songs from this one, of course. Aside from Aerosmith, Chantal Kreviazuk,
Leaving on a Jet Plane,
a Canadian,
yep.
And even Our Lady Peace had a song on the soundtrack.
I did not know that.
Fun fact, Ray Maida is married to Chantal Kreviazuk, so that's how a little Canadian band made it onto the Aerosmith soundtrack, and I hope they made a pretty penny from it. Next on my list is Go.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know if anybody watched this as much as we watched it, if it was really a big thing for anyone else. That is Canadian Sarah Polley on the cover and a very young Katie Holmes back here.
Yeah.
Look, Scott Wolf for Party of Five.
Yeah.
Jay Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, this is told from like 3 different carfuls of teenagers. And it's one crazy weekend where everyone's trying to get cash, get drugs, and get laid. There's a big rave. There are tons of poor decisions. It's just a lot of fun and some crazy music. Yeah.
So this was not a big deal where I came from.
Okay.
I saw it, but I saw it once. I didn't
Okay.
say it multiple times.
All right.
But it was a good
Well,
movie.
It is. Yeah. This is one of the ones that my budding film critic self loved. This is Waiting for Guffman. It's a Christopher Guest movie, one of the early ones, one of the great ones. Who am I kidding? They're all spectacular. But if you don't know, Christopher Guest was famous for doing mockumentaries. He's the
Like
one who did
Spinal
Best in
Tap.
Show. Well, yes. Best in Show is probably the one a lot of people heard of. Gosh, I just love this movie so much. And this one is so great. It's about, I mean, this is Christopher Guest. He stars in it as well as, oh my gosh, a failed Broadway star who puts on a musical in this sleepy little town, starring some very amateur sleepy little town actors. And it's about their sleepy little town, but then they hear that a real Broadway critic is coming to the play. That's the Guffman that we're all waiting for. And my goodness, they all get stars in their eyes. They all fall over each other trying to outshine. It is just stupendous. It is wonderful. The ensemble cast, of course, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, Canadians, and favorites of mine, favorites of everyone. They're
Favorites of
spectacular.
Christopher Guest.
Yes. But really, literally, Christopher Guest never goes wrong with his cast. He always has the greatest people who can do all kinds of fun improv, and the results are non-stop hilarious.
Yes, they are. I agree. Like, consistently, those movies are hilarious. And they're really, it's basically the same cast of characters. A
Yes.
few come and a few go, but the core has been making these movies for like 40 years and just killing it every time.
Yes. All right. My list would not be complete without Titanic.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's the 90s movie.
I mean, of course, I have to tell you, I hate to tell you, I had this on the double VHS because it didn't fit on one. It's so long, even though this is not even a long movie by standards anymore.
It's
but-
long for VHS.
Yeah. Yes. So that's why I'm surprised that I even have most of these on DVD,
On DVD.
because I had them on VHS when I was a kid. And this one, oh my gosh, I remember there was like a year-long campaign before this came out. So they really kept us waiting a long, long time to see this, and every teenage girl couldn't even bear the wait any longer. And despite all of that hype, it was worth it. And I'll tell you, I grew up in a small town. So we had one theater, and every night, the theater was in a mall. It was in our local mall. And every night, people would be lined up all through the mall trying to see this movie. And I remember at one point, my hygienist, they were family friends, was telling me, oh, she'd tried this many times to go see Titanic, it still hadn't gotten in. Which I can't even imagine that anymore. You know, we live in a
Now you
big
buy
city.
tickets in advance.
Well,
and-
yes, that's the
online,
thing. We even can get
you
tickets
assign
a
your
month and
seats.
ahead, and we get, you know, the night of release. Her, it took months. I saw it 3 times in that span. But I was a dedicated teenage girl, and she was not. So she was a mom. She
mom
didn't
with a
want
job,
it
yeah.
badly enough. So
Clearly.
yeah, I mean, Jack and Rose were the most tragic and romantic couple you could imagine. Although why? Why do we always have to kill off the
That's what makes it tragic and
Why are we
romantic.
always putting people in peril? Yeah, well, I think later you grow up and you realize it would be much nicer to just grow old with somebody. Or share the raft with them. But yeah, it did. Oh, and it was a little steamy, a little racy.
Yes, it was.
But still like PG somehow.
PG-13.
Well, yes. I mean, he did draw her
Yes.
like a French girl. And of course, that song, the Céline Dion song.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my best friend and I would send faxes to Much Music, which was Canadian MTV. Send faxes, I said it. Send them faxes to request this song.
That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Anyone that grew up in Canada in the 90s, that was a thing. That was a massive thing.
Yeah.
They had Much on Demand, and it changed names a couple of times, but it was the same show every day at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it would be a request show for videos.
Yeah.
And it was, you do the craziest thing with the nicest fax and Leo's head and whatever else, you'd get your video played. It was a thing.
It was a thing. Oh boy. Another thing, and I apologize.
Don't apologize.
Night at the Roxbury.
Classic,
oh my
classic
gosh.
movie.
This might be, I think this is definitely my favorite SNL sketch turned into a movie.
Yeah.
Even though, like, and I don't know, I like looking back, I've never even really liked Will Ferrell on the show. He was too much for me. And yet, every time they would break these out, you would watch SNL and you would always root for your favorite recurring character to come on. I'm sure it still goes like that today. But you would always root for them to come on.
But in the 90s, they had
a lot more,
it was all recurring characters.
Yes, and it was such a treat when they would do it. And when some big celebrity would get between this sandwich, oh boy.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That was the sketch.
Yes.
Whoever was the guest would get sandwiched between those two guys.
Yes, exactly.
And that's, to me, I agree with you. That is the best sketch turned into a movie because it's not the sketch. The movie is actually a story about these guys, which was never on SNL.
No, of course not. You never know why these guys are the way they are. Turns out they're brothers. Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell, Stephen Doug
Butabi, yeah.
Yes. And, you know, they just are two cool guys who are, again, oppressed by their father who wants them to work in the family plant business. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're not into it. They want to own a dance club, and they research every night by trying to get into the Roxbury. They never do because they're not as cool as they think they are. But yeah, it's an epic story of brotherhood and friendship. Oh,
and we talked about
it is kind of wonderful. It is ridiculous. It is not good, and yet it's the
great.
best. Yes.
We talked about cameos. There is a fantastic cameo in there that is on the all-time list for me. It's just great. And if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for?
Yes, you do. You really do have to see this. I remember going to see this in theaters with my feather boa. Okay, now I'm sorry in some ways to even bring this up. This is Mallrats. Okay, so this is a Kevin Smith movie. The 90s were kind of all about Kevin Smith, I have to say. I loved
they were.
Jason Lee. Jason Lee was it for me. Even though
yep.
a very young Ben Affleck, although Ben Affleck was already playing like the older...
douche.
Yeah, well, for sure. He was 100% douchey. Shannon Doherty.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, as Jason Lee's sister, I think, right?
Yes. So basically...
or girlfriend.
Girlfriend, yeah. Basically, it's two guys, him and Jeremy London, Jason Lee and Jeremy London, play TJ and Brody.
And the Londons are also so 90s.
Yes, they are. Also Party of Five.
Yeah.
Anyways, they play buddies who both get broken up with. And so they go to the mall to make themselves feel better. Because that is what you do with your friends when you feel sad in the 90s. People probably don't understand that anymore.
I don't think so.
You just shop online.
Malls aren't really a thing.
Xanax, yeah. But anyways, this is what we used to do. This was life itself. Kevin Smith is in it, of course. There's Jay and Silent Bob make an appearance, as they must. And yeah, I mean, this was it for me in the 90s, guys. It's embarrassing now. Oh yeah, Stan Lee cameo.
That's
Kevin
right.
Smith is such a Stan Lee guy. It's amazing that he got him even back in this day.
This is before Stan Lee did cameos. This might be the first Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, that's right. It does seem like it's matter of course now, but back then.
It didn't used to be a thing. He didn't used to be in everything. That's right, because one of them is an aspiring comic book artist.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is correct. Okay, so this one, we'll just pay no attention to singles, which is an okay 90s movie, but I'm not recommending it. This is the one I love, Empire Records.
Empire Records, yeah.
Oh my gosh. This movie, at the time, I could quote every single line in the movie. I love the AC/DC in the movie. There's a lot of good music because they work in a record store. And it's a bunch of young kids. Rory Cochrane I fell in love with, a very young Liv Tyler, Renee Zellweger before she was famous. Anyways, Robin Tunney, everyone in this cast is fabulous. They're just young, cool kids working in a record store. They're snobs, they think they know better than everyone, and they do. But their cool record store is in danger of being taken over by like
a mega store.
A mega store, boo. And excitingly, it's Rex Manning Day. So it's really just 24 hours in the lives of these guys. Rex Manning is like, or I don't know, the Barry Manilow of the Empire Records. Like, he's not a cool performer. So it really is just a money grab that he's coming to their store to sign some autographs, and they don't respect him, even though they're a little excited because he is rather famous. It's just great. Oh man, I have nothing but love for that movie.
I remember the phenomenon of that more than the actual movie. I've seen it multiple times because...
Let's just remember, guys, that Sean is a lot older than I am. I know he looks so boyish, but he's an old man.
That's true.
So we were not young at the same time.
No, we're several years apart.
How many years?
A lot.
Many severals?
Many severals.
Don't, not just several.
No, sorry. Don't even lump me in the same
No,
decades.
we're practically not the same generation.
Yes. But I do remember this movie. My roommates in university watched this movie multiple times. That's like every time I've seen it is because they threw it on.
Okay.
And it's good. It's a good little movie.
It is good. So here's one, Sean.
The Wedding Singer.
Now, as we already know, I was obsessed with Adam Sandler in the 90s. I'm still kind of obsessed with him now. But, you know, I loved every movie he was making in the 90s. And this one maybe more than all. I mean, this was certainly like... whatever it was before it was Netflix and chill, it was just, why don't you come over to my house and watch a movie?
Watch a movie, yeah.
This was the movie because it's Adam Sandler, but sort of romantic, except not romantic because it's Adam Sandler. But it's like,
still kind of.
It takes place in the 80s.
Love story.
He's a wedding singer. Drew Barrymore is a waitress at, who caters the events he often is singing at. And they're both engaged to be married to other people, and those are the wrong people. But can they figure that out in time?
Yes, they can, but just barely.
Spoiler alert. They will, it'll be worth it.
They cut it close.
Oh, but in the most fantastic way.
Oh, it's great. That is a great movie, and that's one of, like, the evolution of Adam Sandler went a lot of different ways. This was a positive evolution when he went from
that was a big crossover one because, of course, Drew Barrymore was definitely a thing in the 90s. Definitely was doing a lot of romantic comedy, not even comedies. She was heavy in romancing and rom-coms. And so that one drew a lot of her fans into the Adam universe. And, they have had several other collaborations.
They have, and you talk about 51st Dates, and that's another good one, but this one really was...
And there's Blended.
The original. And Blended, yeah.
But yeah, that's the original, and it will always have a place in my heart. And so will...
Oh yeah, Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet, which this movie came out the year I was studying this in school. So my English teacher, who wanted to show what a cool guy he was, chartered a bus because we lived in such a lame town that we had to go an hour and a half to a theater to see this, which ended up, and it took me that long on the bus ride back to stop crying. Well, shush now. I was a teenage girl in my feelings, okay, Sean? I'm just full of hormones and tender, loving feelings. Just so you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, I know he's like a bloated guy with bad eyebrows now. He used to be a heartthrob, okay? We used to really find him so handsome. I don't even get it, but he was. Yeah. And Claire Danes. This is a Baz Luhrmann production. So even though it is the words of Shakespeare, it is the accents of the normal people. They, you know, it really feels like a modern take. There's great
and
soundtrack.
a huge soundtrack.
Yeah,
Huge
great
soundtrack.
and a Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd's in that?
He is.
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like the prince, the guy that she is supposed to marry.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, Sean. Oh, we might get to watch this.
Yeah.
Anyways, I do still love this. I could cry at the drop of a hat just thinking about this. This, again, dead teenagers. Stop doing this to teenagers. They don't all have to die. Clearly, that's a trope we've been revisiting for many, many centuries.
Years. Yeah.
But yes, a big love for that movie.
That's great.
Now, I may have saved this last for a reason, and this is kind of a little bit forgotten by time, and yet this was the greatest movie if you were a teenage girl, Cruel Intentions. That's Michelle Gellar, Ryan Philippe, and Reese Witherspoon. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So Ryan Philippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar play step siblings who are just terrible people. And one of their terrible bets involves the young, the beautiful, the virginal, I think, daughter of their school headmaster or something. So he is supposed to seduce her, but guess what, guys? He falls in love with her along the way. Oh my gosh. Again, great music in this. Titillating, yes. Just the right amount of sexy. Oh my gosh. This is it for me.
That is
this movie still makes me hot.
Very big movie.
Yeah.
Very big movie. Mm-hmm. Good choices, babe.
Well, of course they were. They're my choices. So that does it for my choices. We will do some of Sean's choices in another video, so I know you can't wait for that. But you'll have to. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.